I've often got asked, where are you from? No, where are you really from? I used to say, I'm from Chicago. That's where I was born. That's where I was raised. But then came that second question, the really from part, and I wondered why. And then I realized it wasn't about geography. It was about identity. They weren't asking for a location. They were asking about my roots, my culture, my connections. Eventually, I came to embrace, yes, I am from Chicago, and yes, I carry the traditions of India. But how do I explain that my identity is not divided, but it's layered? And that I carry both within me, not as contradictions, but as pieces of a much fuller story. Here's what I've come to believe. Identity is about connections, and connections begin with curiosity. What if the answer to the question, where are you really from, is on the inside? My parents were the immigrants, and my mom realized early on, you know what? We're the newcomers. It's our responsibility to understand who we are and then to share that with the community. But first, she needed to learn how to implement that into us. My parents also came here at a very young age. They didn't show up with a suitcase full of cultural artifacts. There was no website on how to be Indian in America. It didn't exist. So she recreated holidays and festivals from her own memory. And then she adapted them to whatever she could find in the stores here. So Christmas tree lights, those became Diwali lights. And it wasn't always easy. There was pushback from her own community. Fellow Indians would come up to my parents and say, why are you holding on to these old traditions? We're in America. Move on. Be American. But my mom didn't see it as holding on to the past. She saw it as embracing who we were while still growing into who we could become. She created opportunities for us to be able to share our culture without us having to choose. We didn't have to be only Indian or be only American. We were both. And we were going to take all of that, of all those different worlds, and become who we are. That excitement, that curiosity, that wanting to know more, that was ignited in me. I remember when I was younger, a classmate, not a friend, came up to me and said, hey, Shefalee, are you guys Hindus? Do you do that snake charming stuff? Do you worship cows? I froze. I was 9 years old. I didn't know how to answer that. I was scared a little. The me now would have said, worship cows? We honor nature and animals, and cows are symbolic of all living things. But me at 9, I didn't have the words in me. So we had to learn. We had to learn how to share our stories. We had to learn how to explain our traditions so others could also understand. And funny enough, that same week, my mom, the vegetarian, walks into the kitchen. She's staring at the Easter eggs that we had just dyed. And she's looking at them. They're sitting in that plastic basket with that crunchy neon straw. And then she asks, you guys, what are we supposed to do with these now? Are you supposed to eat them? Are they an offering to the Easter bunny? Right? But who really knows? And that's when it occurred to us. Every culture has its moments that seem a little mysterious, that seem a little awkward. But then we're like, what if these little mysteries are not just rooted in tradition, but what if they're threads of connection? So growing up, we had this rule. And the rule was, when there was yogurt as a part of our meal, we weren't supposed to have a glass of milk at the same time. So of course I had to ask my mom, yogurt, but no milk? Why? What's up with that? And she simply said, this is what I was told when I was a kid. So we're going to stick with it. I wanted to dig deeper. I wanted to know more. I got curious. So curious, in fact, that I went to college and I majored in food science. I became a food scientist because I was going to figure this out. And just so you guys know, food scientists are the magic behind almost everything that you see in the grocery store. The fresh produce section, yes, straight from the farm. But everything else, a food scientist has had a hand in designing it. I even went a step further. I minored in dairy science production. because I was determined to figure out this milk and yogurt, mystery. But guess what? After all those years, after all that education, I still don't have a solid answer. But then again, another realization. It wasn't just about knowing the rules. It was about understanding my parents, seeing their stories, getting to know who they really were, and accepting and appreciating all of that. As I journeyed in life, I leaned deeper into my culture, specifically into dance and the visual arts. Through dance, I moved with the stories of those who came before me. Stories are not just meant to be remembered, they're meant to be felt, they're meant to be lived. And the visual arts, that opened another avenue. It wasn't just decoration, it was a new language. It was a way for me to experiment and to blend and to share who I was visually. And I discovered something powerful. Sharing my culture with others didn't just help them understand me, it helped me understand myself. In the community, I became an ambassador of sorts. Not because I had all the answers, but because I was willing to ask the questions, to invite others in, to create space and place for the stories and conversations to be heard. Because here's what it is, guys. We humans, we all need the same things. We need food, we need water, we need shelter. But we also need something much deeper. We need love, we need belonging, we need connection. I tell my kids the story of the dash. From the day we're born till the day we die, we're just living that dash. Who we spend it with, what we do is who we really are. When someone passes from this world, we don't remember them by the number of cars in their garage or by the designer label that she carried. No, we remember their impact. We remember what they gave to us. We remember how they connected with us. And yes, I occasionally still hear, "You're not from here, are you?" And the funny part is when I travel to India, I get asked that same question. And at first it kind of stung. And then I was like, okay, I get it. I understand. Because thanks to my mom, I know where I started. And I kind of know where I'm going. Because I'm not from one place. I'm from the intersection of cultures, experiences, and stories. And so are you. This is our opportunity to get curious, to ask questions, to listen to the stories from our ancestors, and most importantly, please, share them. Because every time we connect, we're creating a better future. One conversation, one meal, one relationship at a time. Thank you. Thank you.